John got it. We're back here Wednesday, debate amongst friends. Doc Leason here, the podcasting beast from the East with the Professor John Gotti, the King of Bungie, the Troll Master, the Data Analyzer Ninja, the Conqueror. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, the Terminator. You better believe this is Professor Omega, the Cleaner.
Best podcasting machine. I don't understand what's going on here.
What? Are you the best
Oh,
podcasting machine or not?
I am
Okay.
the best podcasting
Somebody.
machine. And the wise man of our tribal chief, the head of the table, the reigning, defending, undisputed podcasting champion of the world, Doc Elidelo. How are you doing, man?
Doing pretty good, man. I hate to say this, but we have another last ride story here as Coach K goes on his final season of the Duke basketball days.
2021 has been the year of the last ride.
Yeah.
With the
So
Packers, with LSU head coach having his last ride with his guys, and now the Duke.
Auburn went last ride also. They fired their coach.
Well, they fired him. That's
that's his last ride. This is Matt Nagy's last ride.
We could say the same thing about not Washington State, Eastern Washington head coach who also got fired too.
Matt Nagy's last ride. There's a couple last rides.
It could also be Bill O'Brien's last ride as the offensive coordinator for Alabama too.
Oh my God, yeah, he needs to get out of there. But Duke basketball here. Duke beat Kentucky last night, 79-71. I was actually very impressed with. I'm not even gonna try his last name. I want to say it's Shebby, but there's a lot of letters in there. Some are silent, I'm pretty sure. But the forward from Kentucky grabbing 19 rebounds and 17 points, I thought was phenomenal. The 6'9" forward from Kentucky. But Duke play well. I hate that Houston Rockets media is already putting the Rockets on the clock to draft Duke forward Paolo Banchero, who put in 22 and 7. But Trevor Keels also had 25 points, which is pretty awesome. Wendell Moore coming back had 12 points. I thought I would see a little bit more Joey Baker as a Dookie fan, but it's one of those guys that seems that he'll always be just a.
If we're gonna talk about that real quick, I'm also gonna give a quick shout out to the Wichita State Shockers with a logo 3 to close it out against Jacksonville State Gamecocks. Tyson Etienne willing his team to victory.
Oh yeah, boom. And speaking of threes, moving on to the NBA here, the 33-year-old, oh God, we're getting old. Stephen Curry, the oldest player to drop 50 points and 10 assists since Wilt.
I still feel like
overtaking Wilt.
People are saying that like it's a grand thing.
Yeah, I
think it's
I'm sure
more
he
of
scored 40
someone
something.
who, like people scored like 30 and 40, but like.
Well, you know what it is? You know what it is? And I'll tell you this before you finish that. You know what it is that usually when a person scores 50 points, they're not passing the ball. They're just shooting.
Exactly.
So this is, I guess, why it's such a big deal. This is his 10th 50-point game of his career. But I think that's the big thing. Like when you look at, could you really tell me what Devin Booker or Kobe or whoever else, like when these guys scored 60, 70, 80 points, what their other stat line was? Nobody cares,
No one cares.
So it's like next, if somebody drops 60 points, not in like 2K or anything, because obviously 2K you could drop, but it's like if you drop 60, 70 points and get 10 assists, that's something that's an anomaly, because usually you're just shooting nonstop.
I agree.
So I guess that's the only reason it makes it relevant is because Steph actually passed it 10 or passed and made 10 assists here. But other than that, you're right. It does happen quite often. I'm sure somebody's had 45 points and it's like, oh my God, I'm right there, and they just didn't get it. But that's enough of that, Johnny. We got some NFL news really quickly. Odell Beckham clears waivers, becomes a free agent. Right now, I'm hearing Saints, um, Patriots, and there was one other team in there, the
Packers.
Packers. There you go. Three teams in which they all are in the mix for the playoffs. Maybe the Packers a little bit more than the other two teams. The Saints. I mean, Odell has to really look and say, do I really want to have Trevor Simeon throwing me the ball? Do I want to have Taysom Hill throwing me the ball? I don't know if I want that. I don't know if I want that. Do I want, you know, Mac Daddy Jones throwing me the ball? Ooh, working with Belichick, working with McDaniels.
I mean, that's a pretty good.
That's a pretty good deal.
That's pretty
That's
tempting.
that's pretty tempting. Or do I want to work with Aaron and have Devontae Adams on the other side, have tight ends and other receivers over here? Do I want to play with Aaron?
I mean, he can get a discount on his his car insurance too.
And that'd be a double check. So we'll watch off of that.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I don't think we're gonna hear anything until either later on today, if not like overnight. Like
You might be
I
waiting to
don't think he's
see.
gonna stay unavailable for very long.
He might be waiting to see what's going to happen with Aaron Rodgers. This whole COVID thing is going on, which we can talk about tomorrow.
Yeah, I think we
Um,
should talk about
y-
tomorrow because there's
yeah,
more stuff happening, and then we can
they're
do a
finding him now. So
full
yeah, they're
yes.
finding the Packers. They're finding him. So yeah, we could do a full analysis of that tomorrow and the QB index, which is perfect. Perfect. Um, in other news, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, which is very interesting because clearly they could have signed OBJ
Well, this is
yesterday.
before he cleared waivers.
I mean, we're talking 20 minutes.
Hey, it was before.
But you know what? It made sense though. Both signings. They signed Rashard Perriman, and then they went and signed Darren Fells, who asked for his release from the Lions. Both players used to play under Bruce Arians. Obviously, Rashard Perriman knows the offense, so it made sense why they would bring him in over OBJ.
Hmm.
And Darren Fells, of course, brings in some leadership. He's a veteran, somebody that'll help with the Gronk potential absence. Now, personally, if it's me, if I'm looking at Brashard Perriman and I'm looking at OBJ, I'm considering OBJ. I can't lie to you.
Okay.
Because of what Tom and Byron Leftwich like to do. I look at the screen game, and I mean, the only upside I would say to Brashard Perriman, knowing the offense, but also he might block a little bit better than OBJ. Um, but yeah, that's what I'm thinking as far as the screens. The catch radius might be a little better, but again, I'm looking forward to seeing Jalen Darden. I'm looking forward to seeing, Scotty when he gets healthy.
Yeah.
We got a couple other young receivers that really, really play well. So I'm looking forward to seeing those guys get a chance. So I'm
Yeah, I mean,
okay.
now we're getting to the latter half of the season. So,
Exactly.
now this is, as we used to call it in baseball, the dog days of summer. Like this is,
Hmm.
the chilly fridge of the NFL
Right.
season happening right now because the temperature's going a little bit lower and some of these areas are gonna be kind of tough to play.
No, I agree. I mean, and I'm not gonna rule out, that the Bucks don't say, "Hey, let's bring him in," because I mean, Perriman and Fells were both signed to the practice squad also.
Yes.
So that's also telling. So, I mean, at the end of the day, Antonio Brown is out, which, Scotty is still out. I mean, you have, again, Jalen Darden, who's still unproven. We had the rookie from last year who I thought Tyler Johnson made great plays. He made that big catch. in the
in the playoffs.
playoffs.
Yep.
Yeah, so I think he's got a lot of upside. Um, I don't know, but we'll see what happens, man. I'm gonna follow it. It says here, Garland Gillen, from Fox says, hey, it's gonna be Packers, Saints, and Bucks are his preferable teams.
Yes.
So, I mean,
I
who doesn't want
think
to play
those
with
are
him?
going to be the three teams that he's going to end up signing with. I don't think they're going to swerve us, bro.
I don't think so either. I don't. He would be a fool to go to the Chiefs. Last year, yes, without question. Last year, he would have went to the Chiefs. I would have been
Yeah,
understanding
this
completely.
year the Chiefs have a lot of issues that people aren't really. I mean, they're seeing it now because they're at the
Sure.
halfway point. But like in the beginning of the season, they're like, "Oh, that's just an anomaly." That no, now
hmm
it's a habit, folks.
It's getting pretty bad, man. It's
Like
getting
it's
pretty
getting
bad.
really, really bad.
Yeah, I'm not sure what's going on anymore. All I can do is say Madden curse. I'm gonna stick with that.
No, you might be right.
Yeah, I know that Tom is on the cover as well, but Tom has some
I mean,
bad,
he has some bad picks as
hmm
well, but I mean, I still feel like that's due to how the offensive line, tend to slack off in
Yeah.
their
hmm
blockage assignment.
Yeah,
But that's here
that's
and
true.
there.
We got some college football playoff ranking updates here.
Yikes!
Um, so so we're saying there's still a chance.
Of course.
So we got number one Georgia, we got number two Alabama, number three Oregon, number four Ohio State, number five Cincinnati, number six Michigan. The top six teams make it, correct?
Yep. No,
Yep.
the top four make it. The
Top
5 and the 6 is one of the bowl games.
bowl games. That's why I just think that they should just change it. I think that's what I want. I
Yes.
want number
Well,
one and
that's
two
what
to
you
get a
want.
bye.
Yes. That's what you
Yeah, I
want to
want
do.
number
Yes.
yeah, I want number one and two to get a bye. Three and four, or three plays six, four plays five, or something. However they want to do it.
Hmm.
Um, but you got Michigan at six, Michigan State at 8-1 at seven, Oklahoma still undefeated at eight somehow. Number nine Notre Dame 8-1, and Oklahoma State rounding us out at number 10. Um, Cincinnati moving up to number five, dancing and inching their way back into that top four. All they need is one mistake from these top four people, and they are in it. And
Um,
then, of course, they have to continue
which
winning.
which is completely possible.
Yeah. Um, I'm. I would love to see Cincinnati. Obviously, Cincinnati basketball wise, they've always been pretty relevant. Football wise, not so much. Trying to see who they have left. I mean, they have three games left. They got South Florida,
Yep.
SMU,
Yep.
and East Carolina. Um, it's gonna be
East
interesting.
Carolina is a winnable game. SMU is going to be a
Yeah,
tough game. SMU is always a tough team to play.
yeah. And East Carolina was a team we were talking about earlier in the season. So,
That's Coastal Carolina.
um, Coastal, yeah, yeah. Okay. I think you know what I'm thinking. East Carolina because somebody's one of my friend's sons actually committed there and is playing on that football team. That's probably
Hmm.
why I'm thinking about
Nope, I got you.
it. So Georgia has Tennessee, Charleston, Southern, and Georgia Tech remaining.
So Georgia
Um,
Tech and Tennessee games are going to be a rough one.
that should be an interesting one. I mean,
And I would probably say upset alert for the Tennessee game.
yeah, it's gonna be a tough one. Alabama here has, I think they only have, oh yeah, they have New Mexico State, Arkansas, and of course, can't forget Alabama versus Auburn. It's always a tough one because a couple years ago, I mean,
The problem is, I want to say New Mexico State could potentially have a puncher's chance. It all depends on if Alabama has the kind of offensive performance that they have, especially against
yeah,
Auburn. Like that
mm,
could ruin their chances so bad.
I agree.
But I don't know so
Um,
much about New Mexico State. New Mexico State is only 1-8 in the season, and I don't
true.
think they've been very relevant in their offensive strides.
I'll say a team that has a hard last three games. We got Oregon versus Washington State.
Well, I mean,
Oregon
Pac-12.
versus no, you're fine.
No, I
Oregon
meant
versus
Pac-12. Like that's why it's Pac-12.
yeah. I mean, Oregon versus Washington State, Oregon versus Utah, and Oregon versus Oregon
Oregon State.
State.
Yep.
That's not an easy last three games there, there,
Nope.
boyo.
I
And
completely
last,
agree. I would say the Utah game would probably be the hardest.
so this, I believe, will be the one that Cincinnati actually two. Oh, poor Ohio State. The
Yep.
Buckeyes. The Buckeyes should move up to the top two if they if they happen to win these last two games. You got Ohio State playing Purdue first.
Hmm.
Then you have Ohio State playing Michigan State.
Yep.
Then you have Ohio State playing Michigan.
Yep.
Cincinnati is like, come on, Ohio State, you can do it.
Ohio State, like, man, this sucks. While Cincinnati's like, cause this is training.
Yes, yes, you can
So,
do
so,
it.
so you think if Ohio State goes 2-1 in these last three games, that they
Uh,
should remain in the top four?
they would have. I think, well, number one, you would have to beat Purdue. If you lose to Purdue, then forget it.
Okay.
But if you lose to maybe Michigan State, they might.
I mean,
It's just too late
Purdue's
in
a
the
good
season.
team.
They are a good team, and that's the problem. But they're not ranked. They're not, because they're number 19 actually. They're outside of 15. So if they're number 19,
Yep.
I don't
Which
think
is
that they
crazy
can
that
make the
they're
playoffs.
ranked that they're not ranked despite
But
beating two
yeah,
top 20 teams.
right at 6-3. Again, that's why I feel like college football should take a page out of the NFL. Have the conference winners, get a bye. Like, expand the playoffs, man.
Well,
Expand them.
I mean, if you want to do it for all those conferences, that'd be kind of hard to do.
No, man. Get because one of the other conferences is really gonna get a chance.
No, ever,
That's what I'm saying. Like
ever. But
that. That's
now you're asking for the season to be expanded by like another 2 months.
no. It's not 2 months. It's like no, because usually there's a huge break in between. Like no, no. We're talking about maybe 2 weeks. Maybe.
Do you know how many conferences there is in D1?
I do, but it still wouldn't be that long. Like you're adding, you could play games during the week. Like you don't have to just have it be on the weekend. Like the games could really be.
But you're
It'd be
talking
2 weeks.
about football teams playing twice or even three times in 1 week.
No, 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 no. I'm not saying that at all. I mean, I didn't say that. You just said that. I didn't.
No,
I didn't
I'm
say that.
asking you if that's what
So it's
you're
like
referring to.
no, that is not even what I'm saying. Um, it's. I would say this. 'Cause there aren't. I mean, it's not that many conferences. I know you're saying like there's a billion conferences, but it's these other some of these conferences probably not. Maybe not all the
Okay.
conferences. Maybe not all the conferences. Some of them actually. One, two,
I mean,
three.
sometimes you, I mean, I don't know. Sometimes you may even need to clock it sometimes.
I see. It's 11 conferences. It's 11 conferences. You give the top two teams a bye or top three teams a bye, and you let the remaining eight start to kind of work themselves out, or you give the top two teams a bye, whatever, like you work it out where all 11 conferences are represented. I think that would be a better situation rather than, going with the top four teams, which statistically never make any sense, especially when you have undefeated teams not in the top four making the playoffs. It just doesn't make any sense. But that's just my opinion there, Johnny. I don't know.
I mean, that's a pretty good opinion, though. I can't even be mad
11.
about that.
It's 11 conferences in D1. I mean, American ACC, Big 12, Big 10, Conference USA, FBS, Independence, which maybe that's one that kind of, we can kind of get away from the independence. Maybe teams, I don't know.
Well,
That's
we
always
can't
been
say
a
that because we had Notre Dame.
Notre Dame, right?
Like there's a
Exactly.
few of them that are.
Yeah, and that's one of those ones where it's like maybe it's time for you to declare
That's what you did. That's
if you want to be in the playoffs. But you got Mountain West, you got Mid American, you got Pac-12, SEC, and the Sun Belt. I don't know, Johnny. I don't know. But I just want to see more teams in the playoffs. It's too many snubs. There's too much room for um, hoopla and balderdash,
Mm-hmm. Because there
hornswoggle,
are
and
some new teams joining the FBS as well too soon. We have three
some
of them joining
swabooting.
in 2022. Jacksonville State, James Madison, and Sam Houston.
That should be good.
So
That should be good three. Yeah, I think. Yeah, that should be good three. Okay. Well, we have to keep an eye. I just want to see more people in the playoffs. That's it. Um, bowl games are cool, but I
you
think
know
that
what
they
that
should.
means? That means Doc needs to write quite the tweet to NCAA football.
We'll see. We'll see. But Johnny, I know that people heard this podcast on their favorite podcast platform. But if they didn't, they can always go to our website at www.debateamongstfriends.com to review this episode as well as all the previous. Be sure to tune in mañana as we go over the QB index and any news, analysis, and the reads.